if it's not already clear, the way in which Zizek and Lacan are using the word symptom is almost certainly going to differ from the way you or I would typically use the word. And that makes it a little bit trickier to pin down what either of them are saying when they use the term. And it's definitely very hard to pin down what Lacan could have meant when he said Marx invented the symptom. So it's best to start with the conventional and then work our way out from there, I think. So conventionally, generally, what does the word symptom mean? What is it associated with? Well, it's associated with the practice of medicine, including psychiatric, so it could be bodily or mental, the symptom. For example, coughing could be a symptom of a cold. Repetitive rituals could be a symptom of obsessive compulsive disorder, and so on. And more often than not, it is these symptoms, whatever they might be, which lead us to seek out treatment. You know, something is bothering us, whether it's physical or mental, and so we make a phone call, we make an appointment. We go to the doctor because we want to stop having a sore throat. We go to the therapist because we want to get over our fear of elevators or whatever. And what's the first question that doctor, therapist, dentist, whoever usually asks? Well, it's usually something like this. Where does it hurt? What's troubling you? Or what brings you in here today? Now, what's interesting about this, if we take the, physician as an example, say I have a sore throat and I go into the doctor and they say, what's troubling you? I say I have a sore throat. The doctor might run some tests, might, stick a Q-tip down my throat, might shine a flashlight in my mouth. And if he's a good doctor, hopefully, within a half hour or so, maybe less, I'll have a diagnosis. Not only will I have a diagnosis, but also get treatment. He'll either give me a prescription or ointment or something like that. And I will be on my way. And I can call someone and say, hey, I found out I have strep throat. I'm supposed to take this medicine for the next however many days. What's weird, though, is like the strep was always what was troubling me. It's just that I didn't know that that's what was troubling me, right? So if the doctor said, what's troubling you today? At the end of the appointment, I would say strep throat. At the beginning of the appointment, when I don't have that knowledge of what underlying issues causing my throat to be sore, all I can say is my symptom. I have a sore throat. And so that's one of the essential features of a symptom, is that it is necessarily distinct from whatever underlying problem it's a symptom of, which is another essential feature of symptoms. Symptoms are always a symptom of something else. So, in a sense, symptoms are things that point to, refer to, or signify something other than themselves. And it's usually something kind of less overt, less obvious. This is definitely the way that Lacan would look at symptoms. Lacan being influenced heavily by Ferdinand de Saussure and other linguists, Lacan would look at a symptom as a signifier, something which signifies. And the underlying issue is the signified, the thing which is signified by something else. Basically, it's helpful, I think, at least this is my interpretation, it's helpful to use those kind of linguistic concepts like signifiers and signifieds because, well, they're appropriate. I mean, that is basically describing the function of a symptom. And I think that's what makes Lacanian psychoanalysis unique. And I think Zizek appreciates that as well, which is this idea that symptoms are, in fact, a function. They're doing something. There's something that our symptoms do for us. Again, we're getting a little bit more into the mental symptoms more than the physical. But really, even in the physical, the sore throat is a function of my body. It's telling me, hey, there's a problem. You need to take care of it, or this is going to get a lot worse. It's the same thing with like when I, if I stub my toe or something, there's the pain is unpleasant and inconvenient. But on some level, have to appreciate the fact that like my pain response is something that my body needs to have. If I didn't have any sensation of pain, I probably wouldn't live for very long. That's why symptoms are there. They alert us. You need to do something about an underlying problem that you can't see. That's what our symptoms, our bodies are telling us. And the mental symptoms, I suppose this is controversial, but this is, this is in line with how Lacan would understand a psychiatric symptom, would be that it is performing some kind of role, some kind of job, some function or another. So, for example, the repetitive rituals, associated with like obsessive compulsive disorder. Lacan might look at that and say, well, I know they're very unpleasant. They eat up a lot of your time. They cause you a lot of stress. But on some level, they are performing a role. They're performing a job. They're usually, at the end of the day, those kind of rituals are keeping some kind of anxiety at bay. By performing the rituals, I'm giving myself assurance that something bad isn't going to happen. Of course, ideally, I wouldn't need to do those rituals in order to have that assurance, and that's where therapy comes in. That's where we start to learn different ways of getting that sense of safety. Because the sense of safety that we're looking for, whether it's through a repetitive ritual or a compulsive behavior or an addiction, that sense of safety that we're looking for in itself isn't the problem. It's the means by which we're going about it, which are problematic and disruptive to our lives. So that's one of the things that makes Lacanian psychoanalysis very, very humanizing and very interesting. I don't know if Lacan is always has a reputation for being very warm and fuzzy, but I see this as a very humanizing element of Lacanianism.